Warning. The Intercontinental Committee on Podcasting warns that listening to the Get the Fluff Out podcast may induce euphoric feelings of nostalgia, which may lead to complete and total ratitude.
The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Fluff Out, get the fluff out.
Welcome to Get the Fluff Out. I'm Hollywood, along with your co-host, Dirty Jim. And thanks for joining us on our rockin' journey through the decades in our quest for the musical Holy Grail, creating the ultimate Gen X rockin' mixtape playlist. On each episode, we'll choose which songs from an album review that will make the cut to appear on the playlist. It's time to experience the soundtrack of our lives. Dirty Jim, it's great to be back, and I am digging this new studio. Wow.
Yeah, it must be nice out there in California, Hollywood. I am still stuck here in my closet in Port Orange, Florida.
Aw, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, it's funny because you're sitting there with Frank in the studio, and I'm sitting here with Frankie, the cat.
There you go, yeah. So just so you guys know, we actually have a producer engineer over here in Hollywood, California. His name is Frank, as Dirty Jim mentioned. Everyone say hi to Frank. Hey, Frank.
What up, Frank?
Oh, he just did a rude gesture to you, Jim.
That's not the first nor last time.
I'm sure. Wow. Okay, Dirty Jim, why don't we get right into the show, because there's some changes that we did since our last podcast, and we really want to explain to the fine folks at home the concept of Spotify's Music Plus Talk format and the difference that they'll hear if they have a free Spotify account versus a paid premium account. So why don't you explain that?
You know, I tried to tell people online, but I don't know if they listened. But all right. So Spotify, you could do it two ways. If you do not have a paid Spotify account, you will only hear 30-second clips of each song that we talk about that's going to make the playlist. Anything that does not make the playlist will not be heard. But if you do have a paid Spotify account, and we're in no way telling you, we're not selling Spotify accounts. We don't make any money from Spotify. But if you do have a paid Spotify account, you will hear the entire song of any song that we are bringing to the playlist. What do you think of that description, Hollywood?
Excellent description. So I think the cool thing here is that the listeners, they have a choice. Either they listen to the 30-second clip or the full song if they'd like, or they can also just altogether just hit the skip button on the Spotify app so they can just listen to the talk content. So if you want to, though, listen to the Get the Fluff Out podcast on other podcast platforms other than Spotify, that's fine. But here's the deal. You'll only get to hear the talking content of the show with no musical clips of the songs. And that's due to licensing and copyrights and all that stuff. And so when it comes to Spotify being on their platform along with Anchor, Spotify will ensure that they pay the artist their royalties for any songs that you listen to during the podcast, which obviously is important to both of us since we are former professional musicians.
Well, you've made it very clear that I am just a singer, or I was just a singer in the band, and you are the former musician.
No, that's okay. In this context, I can elevate you to a former professional musician.
I will imagine that either this podcast show or another one in the future, you will again put me in my place.
I will.
But I do have to say that although we're not advertising Spotify I've had for years. I don't have a paid account. I just signed up for a regular account, and it is great.
Yeah, I love it too. I've been listening to it for a really long time. I think since it first came over to the U.S.
Right.
And yeah, it's a really cool way to stream and discover new music. So I dig it.
You know what, Hollywood? Tell them a little bit about how we're going to do this new podcast.
All right, so let's do a quick synopsis of the 3 album review song categories. So we're going to have 3 categories. Each song will be listed as either a prime cut, a deep cut, or a fluff cut. Now, prime cuts are essentially, for us, when we're listening to the song, it's an immediate, we love the song, it's great, we want other people to hear it, we'll crank down the windows in our cars and, crank that song out. That's a prime cut. Deep cuts are the songs that, they're still good, we enjoy those songs, but they're not necessarily the cream of the crop or the best cuts, but you know what, still interesting music, we love it. And those 2 categories, prime cuts and deep cuts, will make it onto the ultimate Gen X Rockin' mixtape playlist that we're going to be posting on Spotify. So that will make it. Now, when it comes to fluff cuts, those are the songs that are either so weird or they're strange, or we hate the song, or we realize, you know what, this is just not a track that people are going to be interested in. Even if we're interested in, it just may be too outside the box for others to listen to. We're just going to leave that off and kind of get the fluff out with those cuts.
That's what we're doing with the fluff.
That's what we're doing here. And so we're going to get right into it with our very first album review, which is the self-titled debut album from The Cars from 1978. So with this particular album, obviously it's their debut album, and the band members are Rick Ocasek on vocals and rhythm guitar, Benjamin Orr, also on vocals and bass, Elliot Easton, he's the lead guitar player and backing vocals, David Robinson on drums and backing vocals, and then Greg Hawkes, who's on keyboards, saxophone, and backing vocals. And we realize that as well that the Cars, they come from New England area. They're from the Boston, Massachusetts area. They formed Boston in 1976. And yeah, just within a couple years, they went ahead and they were able to get a record deal, and their first debut album came out in 1978. So that's pretty amazing, 2 years after they formed. All right, so why don't we get into some album notes there, Dirty Jim, and some rock tidbits.
I've got a couple album notes here. This album went 6 times platinum, which is over 6 million copies sold. It hit the U.S. Billboard 200 at number 18. And in the Rolling Stone book, the 2020 update called the 500 Greatest Albums of All Time, this was number 353. And that is all I have for the album notes for today.
Okay, so you know what? Let's get right into the tracks here. Track number 1 is called Good Times Roll. And Dirty Jim, I'm going to give you the pleasure of doing the song review first.
Hollywood, you are a gentleman.
Yes, and a scholar.
Right. So, well, let me be the judge of that. But anyway, Good Times Roll. It was the 3rd single from the album. And the short 9-second intro really is just the slowish to eventually medium-ish main riff of the song. It's a very basic, kind of catchy tune. It doesn't do a lot. It won't get your adrenaline going, but it deserves a spot on the playlist. But for me, it is a deep cut.
Okay, so I have some similar thoughts to this. I think from the opening guitar notes and the synthesizers, I actually think this lead track, it's a good introduction to this brand new band called The Cars back in 1978. So everyone heard, who was listening to rock radio at that time in the late 70s, this was one of the songs that they heard first on the radio, obviously being the 3rd single. To me, as I listen to the song, it's a mix of just classic rock and this emergence of the new wave of the pop side of rock music. I dig the song. I also agree with you. It's something that is a cool song to listen to. It's not one of my favorites, but I will categorize it as a deep cut, and it still makes the playlist.
Yes, it does. Why don't you take My Best Friend's Girl, track number 2?
Okay, so My Best Friend's Girl, I think this is a happy, peppy pop rock song, and it actually has kind of a bit of a 60s feel to it with the hand claps and the certain keyboard parts that are in the song. I like the harmonized vocals in the pre-chorus where it goes, "Here she comes again." So everyone's kind of chiming in. I love that. And to me, I think the song makes it onto the Ultimate Gen X mixtape. So it's not a prime cut. It's a deep cut for me.
I'm a little different with you there, but again, this is another short 14-second intro that just flows right into the first verse. It's definitely more of a fun, upbeat song than Good Times Roll was. And the catchy chorus will have you singing along. I'll put it on a party playlist, but I would probably not crank it in the car with the windows down. But I think it's a prime cut.
Oh, really? Okay, so even though it's a prime cut, you're not going to crank it up with the windows down?
Absolutely not.
Huh, okay.
There's a lot of prime cuts. Like at the beginning when you were talking about that, I'm thinking, there's going to be some prime cuts that I'm still going to keep those windows rolled up and I'm never going to play on the motorcycle ride.
Yeah. You want to be cranking it when you're driving down the road there in Florida.
My best friend's good. It's not going to work out well.
With the claps.
I might as well play "Oh Mickey, You're So Fine."
There you go. Awesome.
All right. Let me get into did you mention that was their second single?
I did not, but you just did.
Yeah, I just got the fluff out on that, but anyway, I'm going to go right into track number 3, Just What I Needed, which is the first single of the album. And the first two were actually sung or sang, however you want to say it, by Rick Ocasek. And this one here is by Benjamin Orr. And
right.
This is actually the first song that has a real intro, which doesn't just flow right into the verse. It's an actual intro. It's only 17 seconds long, but it has you interested in what's coming next. This one ranges from a slower to upper medium tempo. The verses build into a very lively, catchy chorus. The chorus kind of reminds me a little of 38 Special, where this album, I mean, you hear Talking Heads, you hear a lot of different stuff with the Cars.
Yeah.
But this is, to me, a keeper and a priority. This is and we'll have to explain this in a second, but this is my out of sight song of the album, and it is a prime cut. Tell them why it's my out of sight song.
Okay, so what Dirty Jim and I decided to do is on every single album review, we're going to select one song on the album that is essentially, it's not necessarily, it's probably our favorite song or what we think may be the best song that we like on the album. And depending on the decade that the album came out in, we're just going to come up with some weird, stupid saying as to what the album track is going to be called. So what did you call it? Your out of sight,
man. It's out of sight.
Your out of sight track album of the album. All right. So I agree with you on this song, Just What I Needed. I think this tune is actually the most rock song on the album. I mean,
right.
there's some heavy guitar chords going on, and there's actually a very cool guitar solo by Elliot Easton in the song. And I actually like the ending of the song where that synthesizer melody is doubled by the guitar. To me, this is a really cool song, and it's also my
whoa
keep on truckin' track of the album. Yeah, baby, it's a prime cut, and it's ending up on the playlist.
Hollywood, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Since we both agreed on that, would you call this song spanking good?
Ooh, doggy, that's spanking good. Wow.
Ooh, baby, it's spanking good.
All right, so why don't you... Wait, is it my turn? No, it's your turn, right? Yeah, it's your turn to go first. Yeah. We're going track 4, I'm in touch with your world. And I got to say, I don't think either one of us is going to be, but go ahead.
Okay. I think on this one, the main musical progression is... It's this kind of strange staccato rhythm, and it's super repetitive throughout the entire song. it's kind of a weird tune. It reminds me of something that you would hear Devo doing. And to me, this track is too freaky deaky for me. It's absolutely a fluff cut. It's not going on the Ultimate Gen X mixtape.
I totally agree. And I got to say, talk about a song that does nothing.
Nothing.
It's 3 minutes and 31 seconds, but it feels a lot longer. It just slowly trudges along on the road to nowhere, but you know where it's going? Into that pile of fluff.
Into the pile of fluff. People, you got to know, we're saving your ears here. We're doing a service here for the rock audience. Don't you say, Dirty Jim?
I would say that if you are upset by us making I'm in Touch with Your World a fluff cut, you might not love this podcast.
Yeah. I agree.
I might be upsetting you with this next one. Don't You Stop, track 5.
Oh, brother.
This is a lot more upbeat than the last one, but it doesn't pull me in at all. At all. The guitar at the end is the only real highlight for the song, but I'm afraid that guitar work and this song are going to be joining track number 4 in the fluffy wasteland. It's a fluff cut for me.
I love that, the fluffy wasteland. Dude, it's so funny as you're going through your review of the song. I'm looking at my notes, and these are my notes here. Not crazy about the song. Guitar solo's okay. Chorus is repetitive, uninspiring. This is a fluffer nutter cut for sure.
Oh, don't you stop. Don't you stop. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's just bad.
Yeah, I just can't get into it. I mean, there's a reason why we're doing this service. We're getting the fluff out, and then we're just moving through all the tracks so that we can really create this ultimate Gen X rockin' mixtape playlist. I mean, after quite a few episodes, there's going to be hundreds of songs on this ultimate Gen X rockin' playlist that you're going to be able to listen to on Spotify. And those are going to just be cuts that are prime cuts and deep cuts and what we feel are the best songs that could appear and represent Gen X and what we listened to growing up.
If there was a category that was like a bad fluff cut, these last 2 songs would be there. But let's move on to track number 6. You Take It, You're All I've Got Tonight.
Okay, so this song starts off with a drum beat with a flanger effect, and then it's accented by guitar chords that come in as Rick Ocasek starts singing. And I do like the ahs part, the you're all I've got tonight. So all of that leading into the chorus, to me, it has a nice rock guitar solo at the end of the song. It has a cool hook to it. To me, this is a classic Cars song. It's not a prime cut, but it is worthy of a deep cut to appear on the playlist.
I think that my ahs were a little flat. Maybe you could work on them in the hey, Frank, work on those.
Work out in post.
Yeah,
in post-production, Frank.
Not Frankie. Frankie's taking a nap.
Right. Frankie the cat.
Yeah, just laying here on a chair next to me. So anyway, You're All I Got Tonight. This is another one where the intro just flows right into the song. It starts out slow and steady, but quickly turns into a medium, upbeat tune with, you know what I say, a great flow.
Uh-oh.
I like to change.
We're starting with the flow.
I only have so many things I could say here. I got to make things up, but I like to change into the pre-chorus, and the chorus is just classic. It takes me back to my teens, and that was a long time ago. But I like it. I think others will too. I'm opposed to you about the deep cut. I think it's a prime cut, and I probably would play this with the windows down and not feel shame.
Oh, okay. Cool.
All right. I'll get into track number 7, Bye Bye Love, and really just play back what I just said about You're All I've Got Tonight. This one is actually sang by Orr again instead of Ocasek. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty much the same thing I just said for You're All I've Got Tonight. I love Bye Bye Love. It is a prime cut for me.
Okay, so I really love the intro that cool stutter stop rock intro, as well as the middle lead break, which only uses synthesizers, no guitars. And then as the lead break ends, I love when Benjamin Orr sings, "Substitution, mass confusion, clouds inside your head."
Talking
I love
Heads.
that part.
Sounds just like Talking Heads.
Right? For some reason, the way he sings that line is, I don't know, brings me way back to middle school. So I think this is a really cool song. I agree with Dirty Jim. It's a prime cut, and it's going on the playlist.
Yeah. All right. Why don't you take track number 8, Moving in Stereo?
Okay, Moving in Stereo. Now, this tune absolutely achieved cult status 4 years after the album release, when the instrumental part of the music of Moving in Stereo was used in the 1982 movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And Dirty Jim, every teenage boy in the 80s knew who Phoebe Cates was, just because of that famous fantasy pool scene where she removes her red bikini top from the front and then kisses Judge Reinhold. It's like, you don't know. Is she going to do it? Is she going to do it? No, she didn't! And I think it's actually up there with one of the most paused scenes in movie history for sure.
Well, as you know, Hollywood, I'm a butt guy. But I still appreciated the scene, but I would have liked it if she turned around. But go ahead.
Anyway, this is a moody, synth-heavy track, but it's definitely cool enough to make the deep cut playlist, and it will appear on the Ultimate Gen X Rockin' Mixtape.
I totally agree. This song will always be remembered for that Phoebe Cates scene. It's not the best on the album. It's cool, but it's not even close to the best. It's slower, steady, kind of sexy-ish. It has a futuristic flair to it. It's kind of David Bowie-ish.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it's an interesting song, and probably should have been a lot shorter than 4 minutes and 46 seconds. I'm going to keep it around, but same as you, it's a deep cut for me.
All right.
And we did say that Orr also sings that song and not Ocasek.
Right,
we say that?
He actually sings, yeah, we did, and he's actually singing these last 3 songs on the album.
You're right. Let's just cut out the middleman there. And I'm going to take already the last track of the album. I'm going to take All Mixed Up, track number 9. I'll make this easy for you. I thought it was a ballad. It's not. I don't think it really knows what it is, but I do know what it ain't. It ain't going on my playlist. All Mixed Up is off to the fluff. Be gone with you, All Mixed Up.
Be gone. Yeah, this track, it does start off as if it's a ballad. And with the vocal melody line, it sounds like, okay, there's several things that happened as I was listening to this song. I was very confused. I mean, the song's called All Mixed Up. I was all mixed up. When I start hearing the vocal melody line, the pre-chorus of this song actually sounds like Tin Man by America, which it's a great song. I love that song by America, but in this context, I didn't like it. And then this song then turns into kind of this slower mid-tempo track that has this one riff line throughout the song that again reminds me of another song. Right there in the middle bridge of the song, it sounds like Love Is Like Oxygen, which is one of my favorite songs by the band Sweet. To me, this song, it doesn't have its own identity. Like I said, I'm mixed up listening to the song. It's not for me. It's not for the Ultimate Gen X Rockin' Mixtape playlist. This is a bad track to end the album, and it is a fluff cut all the way. Out you go.
Game over.
So let me give a little wrap up and correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Good Times Roll, My Best Friend's Girl, Just What I Needed, You're All I've Got Tonight, Bye Bye Love, and Moving in Stereo are making the playlist.
That's it. Just those songs, right? And the ones not making the playlist as fluff cuts are I'm in Touch with Your World, Don't You Stop, and All Mixed Up.
Yeah, just don't do it. Just don't do it.
All right, Dirty Jim. So that does it for our album review of the 1978 self-titled debut album by The Cars. So why don't we let our listeners know what amazing music that we're going to be reviewing next time?
All right, well, just make sure that you guys tune in because as you know now that we are releasing 2 wrap-ups. What are we going to call it? What are we calling this? 2 what? What would you say this is? 2, I guess just 2 episodes, right?
They're companion episodes.
Oh, companion episodes. That's very nice. So we're releasing 2 companion episodes every 2 weeks on the 1st and the 15th. And the one that's going to go with The Cars here is going to be, a legendary album, Ozzy, Blizzard of Oz. And the 2 that we're doing in 2 weeks will be the 1992 debut album by Blind Melon and the 1993 album by Twisted Sister, You Can't Stop Rock and Roll.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to be looking forward to that. So we want you guys to go ahead and engage with us in a lot of different ways. We want you to go ahead and, first of all, hit the subscribe button so that you can be notified when new episodes are released on the 1st and the 15th of the month. And also, if you'd like to send us an email with comments and suggestions, go ahead and send it to getthefluffoutpodcast@gmail.com. And then feel free to comment on our social media channels as well on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by finding us at Get the Fluff Out Podcast.
All right. That's a lot of... I can't believe we're finished with episode 1 already, Hollywood.
Yeah, and you know what? We definitely have to... We still have to give props to the sound effects as well as the music.
The music in our intro is from a site called looperman.com, and it's a mix of a drum loop from HP Records called Vintage Kit 2, and a guitar loop from GeoMoon called Groovy Rock Guitars Loop Riff. So thank you to the 2 of them for those 2 great loops. And the kind of the theme song for us, which is the scary kind of Get the Fluff Out, well, that's by us.
That's totally us. We made that one up.
Yes, long time ago on that old podcast. What was it called?
I don't know. I can't remember. It's been a while.
Oh, Lipstick and Leather. I'll never forget it.
Oh, there you go. All right, guys. So we want to thank everyone for carving out some time in your busy schedule to listen to the Get the Fluff Out podcast and to get a little Gen X nostalgic with us. So with that being said, Dirty Jim, we just got the fluff out.
Yeah, we did.
Class dismissed.